Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, The College Process. Once again, I'm Ed from Principia Prep, and today we're going to be going over community college is not a four-letter word. But before we begin, if you are new to the channel or looking for additional college content, please hit the subscribe button down below. It will notify you when new videos do come out. As well as if you do enjoy today's video, please leave us a like and a comment. It does help the channel. We are, of course, still running the James Russell Memorial Scholarship, our scholarship program here at Principia Prep. If you're looking for scholarship help for your students going off to college, very simple. If you need more assistance, check out our video. In the description down below is our link to the video to explain how our scholarship program works here at Principia. Also down below in the description is also our Venmo for the organization and our Bias Coffee if you want to help support the channel, allowing us to keep making these videos for you guys out there. And all that being said, let's jump right into today's video. Community college is not a four-letter word. Now, in my 30 years of being a college advisor, I've seen the college costs go from expensive to basically now ridiculously expensive for most families out there trying to send a student off to college. In addition to that, many families nowadays, good, bad, or indifferent, look at the college process as in the point of, if I can get my student in and out of college for a $40,000 or $50,000 cost per year, in some cases getting a good deal. Of course, this is not normal, especially when we consider there are cheaper options and ways to go about getting your college degree. In fact, one of the least utilized options is utilizing the community college, the county colleges, to either start at a lower cost basis or utilize it to help you basically get cheap classes out there to essentially graduate earlier or on time at a much cheaper option here. And of course, I get it. Students out there and parents out there looking at the community college, it's not something glamorous. It's not like saying your student's going off to UCLA or NYU or BU, or students saying next year I'm going to be attending Northeastern or Miami or Vandy or U Texas or U Michigan, etc. I understand it doesn't have that cachet, let's call it. But at the same time, the colleges I just mentioned all range in cost from $70, $80 to even $90 plus, in some cases, $100,000 a year. Which, if you looked at a community college cost per year, the first year or two is going to cost you basically for the 2 years combined, maybe $10,000 or $12,000 for a community college. Because most community colleges, yearly costs between $4,000 to $6,000, maybe $7,000 a year, where the colleges I just mentioned basically all start at that $80,000, $90,000 per year cost. So yes, I get it, the community college is not as prestigious as the name brand schools out there. I understand the scenario. I also get a lot of pushback from families and students as well, indicating things like, well, the student has worked so hard, or the student says, I've done a lot of AP courses, IB courses, dual credit, I studied for 4 years. Why should I go to a community college? Why shouldn't I go to a four-year institution and experience everything everyone talks about? And I understand the mindset. I do understand it. Because from my point of view, I understand spending or wanting to spend, or essentially being forced to spend the extra money for the notoriety of a name brand college, let's call it. I get that point of view from a lot of families and students. But at the same time, when you're doing this, especially if you don't have the resources behind you, or if the colleges are not generous to your student for whatever reason, maybe academically there's no scholarship money there, or maybe the parent's income is too high, middle income or high income earners, where there's no financial need-based incentive here. So you guys are essentially paying the full freight, which is obviously a big hit if you're looking at paying $60,000 or $70,000 or $80,000 a year. Then I look at it from the point of view of, what are you guys really doing with the resources available now, or future resources if you're taking out loans for every year of this college? Nowadays, unfortunately, student loans are at the highest levels they've ever been at, both from an individual point of view of how many students have on average, in addition to the total amount of student loans out there, whether they be private, federal, state loans, etc. So the reality is we need to start looking at, as families and as students, better ways, better alternatives to get a college degree without going into substantial amounts of debt. Because one of the considerations you should be looking at, whether you're choosing a school down to the acceptances or whether you're building a college list, is, do you want to be free in your 20s? I'm talking directly to a student about this. Because the reality is, if you don't have the resources to pay these kind of sums towards college, taking out huge amounts of debts basically means you're mortgaging your 20s, in some cases your 30s, to a student loan company. And that's the reality. Community college is a great asset to utilize, whether you want to use it up front and get the first year or two out of the way, get college credits out of the way, get the associate's degree basically in the first 2 years of college, then move on to the four-year college. Or community college is also a great resource to consider using to build college credits while you're in that four-year college, to accelerate the credits accumulation to be able to graduate earlier or on time, depending on what your major is and how many college credits you need. In fact, let me give you basically 5 different reasons why utilizing the community college is a great resource tool to be able to get you guys in and out of college at a much cheaper option than just going right off to the four-year college and either spending all your resources, college savings, 529 plan money, etc., or future resources, let's call it student loans that many students do nowadays, to cover the $60,000, $70,000 plus a year bills from the college. Now, right off the bat, the first reason why I look at community college as an option is because a lot of students have no idea what they want to study. And it's not a bad thing. It's very difficult in many cases, even when we as parents, I'm a parent as well, when we were teenagers to think, did I really know what I wanted to do at 16, 17, or 18 years of age? And most of us did not know what we wanted to do. So utilizing the community college for the first year or two, going in there, figuring out our major, does it make sense, does it not make sense? Maybe I want to go into accounting. Maybe while I'm doing accounting classes, I figure out, not really for me, but I kind of like marketing. Or maybe the marketing aspect doesn't make sense. Maybe I like engineering because of the math. So there's multiple different ways of looking at this. Or maybe I'm taking a core class in bio or chem or earth science and start figuring out, I like the sciences better. Or maybe neither of these things are what I'm looking for and I can change my mind and go in a completely different direction. The benefit of community college is you can change your mind multiple times at a very reduced cost. And then the second reason why to consider community college, especially up front, for me especially, is because nobody cares where you went to college the first 2 years. They just don't care. The reality is, if you go to community college for the first 2 years, get your core classes out of the way, the stuff that you may be not interested in, or you start figuring out what direction you want to go in major-wise, those first 2 years of exploration, let's call it, or getting core classes out of the way, allows you to get this stuff done at a much cheaper rate. Typically, you're saving, if you're looking at a $50,000 or $60,000 college versus a community college cost, you're typically saving on average like $50,000 per year. So if you get your associate's degree for that first 2 years, you're essentially saving $100,000 to get the first 2 years out of the way. And then if you decide to go on to the 4-year degree for the bachelor's, the reality is when you graduate from that 4-year degree program, it's not going to say in your degree 2 years here and 2 years at county. It's going to say whatever college you go to for that bachelor's degree, a graduate of that institution. And now the third reason to consider community college is because of the fact that college, to be honest with you, is overrated. You see, most students have this unrealistic fantasy that college is this magical place where they have unlimited freedom at 17 or 18 years old. Think Disneyland with a keg, basically. And that's not really the way college works. That's the fantasy told to you. The reality is college is kind of boring. And for the most part, it's overpriced crap, dorm room parties, frat and sorority parties that you're never going to compare to or live up to the reality of the staggering debt that you place on yourself to be able to have these supposedly amazing memories. Because having debt in your 20s or 30s for student loans, especially nowadays, the amount that students are incurring on an individual basis, $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 in debt to go into programs that you may not even get a job in, or maybe even worse, graduated from a degree that does not pay you anywhere near enough to pay back your student loan, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. And the fourth reason to consider community college is because of the fact that it allows you to grow and mature into the things that you might want to consider at a very low cost. The reality is, the way you think now at 16 or 17 years old is going to be vastly different the way you think at 19 or 20, and definitely vastly different than 21 or 22. And definitely vastly different than 25 or 26. So the reality is community college gives you time to mature and figure out the directions you may or may not want to consider going in and testing options at a very low cost. And then the fifth reason to consider community college is from the point of view of it allows you to take college credits during your winter breaks and summer breaks to be able to graduate in a 3-year time frame, or at least make sure that you don't fall behind with a lot of students are doing nowadays in taking 5 years to graduate a 4-year degree. If your student takes 5 years or longer to graduate a 4-year undergrad program, there is no financial assistance scholarship-wise, and in many cases, no grant money available for that 5th year. So if the student's not able to get in and out in 4 years or less, that means that 5th year is going to be all out-of-pocket cost, or even worse, more additional loans. So the reality is, with summer programs, with winter programs through the community college, you guys can add extra credits in or accelerate your graduation and actually graduate in 3 years with your bachelor's degree rather than 4 years. And obviously saving at least 1 year of college is going to save you guys, in some cases, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, if not more, towards your college path here. Other than that, if you guys did like today's video, please leave us a like and a comment. It does help the channel. On the screen is my contact information. If you guys need additional assistance or additional help in the college process, please feel free to reach out to me. That's my cell phone number on the screen. You can either text or call me. I do meet with families via Zoom meetings to help consult on the admissions and financial aid process. So if you do need assistance, please feel free to reach out either by calling me or shooting me an email. And of course, other than that, thank you for watching today's video. Once again, my name is Ed from Principia Prep.